Hi, my name is Michelle, or Trash Goblin, or whatever it is that I'm being called on the website I'm posting on. Um, I like to. I don't think I've posted anything yet. So what I like to do is either have little rants or just have a little conversation about something. So that's what we're going to do. Today, I actually want to talk about relationships and anxiety and what an interesting mix they are. Because I've recently gotten into a situation where I'm not in a relationship, but I do have feelings for someone. I've caught feelings, as they say, which does sound like a disease because it is. It's disgusting and I hate it. But I have a quote unquote caught feelings, and I do have anxiety from at least what my therapist told me. So I'm going to try and talk about that. I used to watch a lot of Reddit videos. That's a great transition. Wow, I drew this to look really manly. I do not look like that. Goddamn. I used to watch a lot of Reddit videos, and a lot of them were like nice guy, nice girl stuff. And the nice girls I always found interesting just because I am the same gender. And I'm interested in seeing how they act. And a lot of them had this thing of like destroying men's, computers and games because they were angry that they were getting more attention than them. And I always found that like she's insane. And now that I've reached the stage where I do have feelings for someone, I'm actually quite interested in how my opinions changed. Don't get me wrong, I still think those girls are fucking insane for committing to doing that, but I do somewhat understand the emotional reasoning more, and I kind of want to talk about that. Um, now, first of all, if you're in a relationship and your partner is constantly on their computer or games, break up, you deserve better. If they're not constantly on it and you just can't let them have even a bit of fun, break up, they deserve better. But I'm quite interested in the idea of why you would feel like you have to do that. And as someone with anxiety, I'm always feeling like I'm not good enough in any way. That's also just normal part of being my age, but it's also like somehow gets worse with that thing of like, I'm not good enough, that person doesn't like me, I've done something wrong. And now that I have feelings for someone, I'm beginning to see oh, what it's like to, babe, I love you, but no, what it's like to have, those feelings of jealousy. Because they're actually very, very different than what you'd expect. And as a mature adult, I can say, if the person I'm interested in is going out with friends or playing a game, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my god, pay attention to me, because I don't have a right to do that. In fact, it is unhealthy in a relationship to have everything be completely based on your partner. But at the same time, wow, that sounds cringy. But a part of my brain is telling me, oh my god, you should be getting them to pay you full attention. When I most certainly should not. That person has the full right to do what they want. And I don't have a right to make them drop that for me. And what I think is interesting about these girls is I get the feeling of wanting that attention. Because I've reached the stage where I felt it now. Like, the other day, that person was out with friends doing something or on a video call, and I wanted their attention, but they were not messaging back because they were busy. And in my head, I kept saying, I'm not good enough, or it's my fault. And that even ended up getting to anger at some point. That person isn't paying attention. That was also partially because they kept leaving me unread, which, please don't leave people unread. Just don't read the messages. Don't open the messenger app. If you are not going to answer, don't leave somebody on read. That is the worst thing. That is the most awful, uncomfortable feeling of being left on read. Okay, just like, I'd rather... What? Oh my god, I haven't unsilenced anyone. I'd rather I just realized that you didn't see the messages than you've seen them and just decide, babe, that decided not to answer. And, okay, so let's just say, so you've realized you have feelings for someone and you really, really want their attention. Okay. Does that give you the right to try and destroy that person's, life and interest? Absolutely fucking not. Don't do that. Oh my god, what is wrong with you? If that is even an option that you are considering, that is a problem you need to work on yourself. You, as a human being, does not have the right to look at somebody and say, you belong to me. Especially because in my situation, I'm not even in a relationship with that person. But even if you are, you do not have the right to control their life under any circumstance. You either need to speak to that person like a mature adult, because if your relationship has problems, you should probably try and communicate. Or you should see a therapist, because if it reaches the point that you're actually thinking about it, there is a problem. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean there is a legitimate problem and you need to work on it. Because if your only option is destroying what that person loves, there is a big issue here. But it is interesting because I get the feeling, you really want them to just look at you and only you and no one else. You don't want them playing games, you don't want them doing stuff. Even though you yourself have, I would hope, hobbies. I love to draw. That's what I'm doing right now, though it's for an assignment that I was doing weeks ago. But I love to draw, and even paint somewhat. They make me really happy. They give me, kind of a purpose. And my whole life kind of led to the point where one of the only things I really find that I love to do is do arts. And that's why I'm doing it for a living, preferably. So it is interesting, and it is also my hobby. My hobby is my career. It's gonna be my career. Wow, yummy. And I realized that if that person had told me stop doing art, I would not want to stay interested in that person, because that's fucked. That's what I love to do, and it's unfair on me if that person decides that I am now not allowed to do that anymore. That would really, really upset me. But at the same time, because of jealousy, I don't want that person to be playing games or talking to others. If that person told me stop hanging out with your best friends, I'd be like, what the fuck? No, I'm not speaking to you anymore. Those people are so, so dear to me. They've been with me for years, and they're, the reason I managed to survive a lot of stuff. I wouldn't be sitting there like, ooh, but like I like that person. I'd be like, no, what the fuck? We're not together anymore. I do not want to deal with people like that. But I feel like that's a big problem in relationships as well for teenagers, is they don't really realize you should say no when that happens. But again, I understand the feeling of wanting that full attention on you, of wanting them to only look at you. And that's a big problem, because we're not really taught at a young age, or at any age really, what is the aspect of a healthy relationship. At least not well, we're not taught. And I think that's really important. Teaching kids that communication is important sounds like it's pointless, but is extremely good for their living situation, because a lot of relationships fall apart because people just don't communicate. Like right now, how I am not telling that person I was really hurt when they were out with their friends yesterday, because it's a stupid thing to be hurt about. No offense. I think it was a stupid thing for me to be butthurt about, so I got over it. But in a relationship, communication is incredibly important. If you want the relationship to survive to a healthy way, you need to speak with your partner. What's that? You feel like they're not spending any time with you and only with their friends or their games. Go and talk to them. Hey babe, I love you. I think you're not spending any time with me. Yada yada yada. Let's talk about this. If that person doesn't listen to you or just straight up ignores you to do other things, you deserve better. Straight up. If you gave it an attempt and they're not even trying, I think you deserve better. I think you deserve to leave the relationship. Because that person doesn't respect you enough to listen to you, leave. Just leave. I had a relationship when I was 15. It was my first one, and till this day, my only one. It was with a girl who was a year younger than me, and she was one of my friend's best friends. And to this day, I feel so awful about that relationship. And to the girl I was with, I'm not going to say her name, I'm so, so sorry. I was awful back then. We talked over email, and I just did not talk enough. I kept forgetting to check my emails, or I'd be too lazy to do so, and then we'd go for like weeks to months without talking. And that was wrong on me. That was mainly my fault. It was all my fault. And I'm so sorry. I hope after that you found somebody better, because you deserved a lot better. That girl was one of the nicest girls I'd ever met, and I hope to this day you genuinely do so much better than you did with me, because you deserve so much more. But I realized, growing up, I was like slowly learning, that relationship failed because I was not communicating, not just in you should talk about your feelings, but just in general. And that, I think, is incredibly important. What does it have to do with anxiety? Well, a lot of the issues with anxiety is just miscommunication, as stupid as that sounds. Obviously, even if I say to that person, I feel anxious about you liking me, and they say I do like you, my brain is still going to tell me they're lying. But a lot of the issues come from you pushing the issue more and more in your own head. So I'll say, that person is out with friends today, but that's fine, it's none of my business. But my brain will be saying, but why are they paying attention to you? Well, why don't they want to talk to you? And that issue will keep growing, and then every time it happens, you'll feel the same. Now, if I just speak to the person and say, hey, I feel this way, they can have a normal conversation with you. But if you don't do that, they don't know how you feel. This is also a big problem for people, is they just don't talk about their feelings enough. And it leads to a very unhealthy situation, because especially for teen girls, I had this with a lot of my friends, a lot of us expected people to understand our feelings without saying anything, and that's not fair on those people. We need to understand that other people cannot read your feelings. They can't understand or read your mind. Your job is to be able to communicate that, be it in a friendship relationship, a romantic relationship, a familial one. You need to understand that you need to communicate your feelings to people, because they won't know them. I can't expect my friends to just know that they accidentally hurt me. Let's say in all of lunchtime, I didn't see them and I was alone and I felt sad about it. When they come back, I can't expect them to know. So I should talk to them and say, hey, you went off without me and it made me really upset. And then my friends will know next time they go somewhere, I want to be told so I don't get left alone. Whoa. But if I don't say anything, it's unfair on them for me to expect that they would know that. No matter how well you know your friends, you should always expect that nobody knows you perfectly. And it's unfair to expect that, because you also, unless you're a fucking empath, wouldn't be able to understand that always. So it goes both ways. You'd want other people to tell you when they're upset because you want to be able to help them, but you expect others to be able to read you. Hello. So I guess that's another thing with it. And I think that's one of the main problems with anxiety, is you don't really want to tell people, because you don't know which parts of it are anxiety and which are normal. Sometimes it's like, I feel like that person hates me. And sometimes that's a normal reaction, but other times that's anxiety talking, and you never really know that well. And that leads into a bad situation, because now that you don't know, you're not sure how to talk to people about it. You feel like you're just over-exaggerating, or like you're just being childish, and you're pushing that problem down further and further, and it's getting worse and worse. And in the end, all you have left is a very, very messy situation where your feelings have been hurt and the person doesn't know about it, and you've just been left incredibly upset. So the best way to fix this is, again, communication. I think that's all I really had to say. Sorry, I messed up the painting again. In the end of the day, just remember that you need to talk to your partner. You can't expect things to just be fixed at a drop of a hat because you felt upset. You have to remember that your partner is a human being with feelings and emotions. And unless you understand that you need to be able to speak to them like a person, they will not know what to do. Like everyone, if you're an adult and they're an adult, learn to treat each other like adults. So, yeah, that's my little rant. I will leave the world to it. I hope you'll have a lovely day/evening, and don't do what I do and leave all your assignments to the last second because it's very panic inducing. Good evening.